A pall, a shadow, darkness has fallen over the Boston sports landscape in light of the Jason Tatum injury in Game 4 of the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Red Sox and Rafi Devers can't get out of their own dramatic and dysfunctional ways. Who will possibly save us? Could it be the big left tackle who was taken fourth overall out of LSU and your New England Patriots? We're here to find out today because only one guy had the perfect profile of your new perfect Mike Vrabel Patriot. It's our guy, Andrew Callahan from the Boston Herald. Coming up next on A Fresh Six Rings. Let's go.
Hey, whatever it takes, man. It's all about winning, all right? Winning on three. 1, 2, 3, win!
Celebrating the heroes of Foxborough's past.
And with a good block. Look at Grover. All the way. Watch the block of number 73, John Hanna.
The champions of the dynastic era.
Adam Vinatieri booms a 48-yard field goal, and the Patriots are Super Bowl champions.
The Patriots of tomorrow.
We're going to remove entitlement from our football team. We're going to earn the right to be here every single day.
And the fans whose faith never wavers.
Let's go!
This is Six Rings and Football Things.
Did you ever think, Andrew Callahan, that you would be the guy that would be brought on the podcast as the hero we didn't know that we needed, but that we deserved, bringing us the profile, the information, and all the good stuff from rookie minicamp, your piece on Will Campbell and more during this dark time? Tatum's done. The Celtics are cooked. The Sox suck. And the Bruins are an afterthought in the Boston sports landscape. And yet, I finished rereading your piece that you put together that was published on Monday, the 12th of May in the Boston Herald, because I like to fancy it up when you write nice profile pieces like this. I read that, and it just dovetailed nicely into my overriding feeling. My predominant feeling so far on the Patriots this spring has been, it's fun to talk Patriots again. And there's actually hope in the air. And, he one soundbite at a time. I tell you, he continues to win over Patriots Nation. But after reading this, I'm ready to get the whole damn family 66 jerseys, brother. It was awesome. Anyway, Andrew Callahan joins us here on the podcast, folks. How you doing, my guy?
Thank you, Fitzy. And look, Mama always said that laughter was the best medicine. Unless it's a torn Achilles, then you need to write about football. So here I am with your profile, Will Campbell. This was couple weeks in the making, and everybody that I talked to just had the best things to say about Will. So you try to balance that out, right? Like, this is the time of year to get the flowery stories about the rookies and all the great things they've done and the plays they've made. I always want to get to who they are and why, and it took a while, but I think we got there with Will.
Yeah, my favorite piece. It's a long read. I mean, I guess if it was on Medium or Substack, it would probably tell you, like, this is a 13-minute read, or prepare to actually sit down and consume this.
Yeah, read this at 1.5 speed. It's like a good 10, 12 minutes.
By the way, side note, just like a general dude thought, I don't do podcasts. Some people are like, I got to consume more content, bro. I got to get as many pods in as I can during a day while I'm crushing 200 grams of protein and, working out from my under desk treadmill. Like, knock it off. Articles are meant to be read at leisure. Podcasts are meant to be listened to and enjoyed. Like, for all the words that I practice no word economy, but like 1.5 speed, 2 speed, that's cheat code. I mean, come on. At that point, just read the Cliffs Notes, for God's sakes.
I'm a 1-2-5 guy, but I think it's made me, an already fast talker, speak even more quickly on my podcast so that people leave like every third comment. Hey, this is great. Can you just slow down? Where are you going? Why are you doing podcasts before you have to go to the grocery store? Because you're just talking so fast. I'm like, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, no, man. It's I already speak too quickly, and I don't even know the next word that's going to come out of my mouth in the first place. So I don't want to do that to anybody. But anyway, so great piece in the Herald, the inside story of how Will Campbell became the Patriots' first-round draft pick. You get to learn about his upbringing, his high school, his parents, where he grew up, just the color of his character and why the Patriots fell in love with him. But as obviously this has been such a huge need for the Patriots for the longest time, Callahan, there still was that little bit of unrest or discomfort in the air this spring because we kept hearing, oh, his arms are too short. Oh, everyone kept saying like, that's a real thing. Like Chris Long talked about it on Greenlight. All these different analysts kept saying like, oh no, he's got the motor. He's got the drive. He's got the attitude. He's got the trunk. He's got the power, everything except like the short arms. He's going to be Peter Skoronski too, Titans guard Boogaloo. But Vrabel seemed hell-bent on something about this guy. And before you get into how you felt putting this piece together, I just want to highlight my favorite piece. This is a bit of a cliffhanger that he writes because Callahan is such an auteur at this point now. It doesn't just put together standard piece. This teases something you need to hit later in the piece. He writes, Vrabel wanted to feel Campbell, his violence and grit, to learn what drives a man beyond destiny, to find out if he could break it, to determine whether Campbell can help power the Patriots back to the place he believes they belong. So Vrabel, still around 6'4" and 261, as he was listed during his days as an outside linebacker. Side note, podcast host note, no way he's 261. Get out of here. Wrapped a yellow blocking pad with straps around his torso. After some pleasantries, he ordered Campbell to hit him, block him, fight him. A crowd of curious, fresh-faced LSU players gathered 20 yards away with Campbell's former position coach, Brad Davis. More than anyone standing in that group, Davis understood what was coming. No spectator said a word in silence of reverence. Everybody understood what was at stake, Davis said. Vrabel beckoned. Let's go. I mean, my God. This guy was like made to be a Patriot. Is he like the lost son of Vrabel? Like, he's such a football guy. And then you get to that soundbite the other day, the fun will come later. That's the new mantra and rally cry for the team this fall. Just give me a little bit more all about this kid.
Yeah, so it was interesting, Fitzy. There were two things that kept coming up for me. And one of them was, as I approached someone within the team before the piece came out, I'm like, hey, I've heard from people in the front office, people who were around Will during the process, like, you guys fell in love with him. Was that true? This person paused and was like, yeah, I think that's fair. And in the piece, that comes across as like, this is a Mike Vrabel guy. Like, that's what I wrote draft night. He's here because he feels the biggest position in need, obviously at left tackle. And then he's also someone that, like, if Mike Vrabel had a love child in Louisiana, it would be Will Campbell. Now, you also learned that Will, as I talked to people, again, who covered him, like other sports writers down there, I talked to his parents, I talked to teachers, his old coaches, people at LSU. Like, what is it about him? They say, number one, he's the most Louisiana person that you'll know. And you see that.
Honestly, didn't he talk about bringing Tony? What is it, Tony? It's not Zatarans. It's Tony Chichuli or whatever it is. Like, there's a particular chef, and he makes these spices. He's like kind of a crazier version of Emeril Lagasse, if you can imagine. And he wants to actually buy a bunch of these spice mixes and bring them up so that he can put that on his lobster and his chowder and everything else. No joke. I mean, he is literally, he's literally the water boy, except instead of getting the quarterback, he protects him.
So he is a fifth generation Louisianan. His mother sat in the same seats, like the literal same box at high school football games as her mother, Will's grandmother, and Will's great grandmother. Like, that's how deep those roots run in the land where they live in Monroe, which is also, as I write earlier in that piece, like the soil underneath their family tree. That's what it is. And you mentioned that those spices, they went out to a place called Phil's in Baton Rouge after the workout. 2 hours back room, like Campbell, the guy being interviewed, took out Mike Vrabel and Elliot Wolf and Ryan Cowden and 3 other guys who went down there from the Patriots to his favorite place where they used to host the Campbells all the time. So this is a guy who hunts ducks and deer and alligator, plays football, loves his family. And that's kind of it, which sometimes the stories makes it a little bit more complicated. Like, how is this going to be compelling? And you never want to invent stuff, obviously, especially with profiles, right? Like, I like to think, what would someone write about me? It better be true as true gets. But with Will, there were more layers to this. You get into the passing of his cousin. He's not just a big kid. He's not just a kid from Louisiana. Like, he has this kind of drive that even his position coach, Brad Davis, who you mentioned as you're reading the piece there, says, what am I not putting into my sons? Brad Davis has 2 sons, and he looks at Will and goes, I don't know what it is. There's something there. And to me, it's a combination of the upbringing, the generations of being in Louisiana, and then the things he endured throughout his life before he got to Foxborough that just makes him not want to quit. When he said, Fitzy, that he would die for Drake May, every single person I talked to said that was real. This was not a soundbite. That is who he is.
I led the charge. I was one of the many who said, I don't know if this guy is it. If you have a 4th round draft, if you have a 4th overall pick, you have to absolutely nail it. You can't afford to pick a tackle who's going to be a guard one day, when the glaring need of left tackle has been screaming, presenting itself, calling out and crying for so long. You can't go through another year of Marshall Newhouse and Vidarian Lowe and Isaiah Wynn and all the other people that have been going through the turnstile at the hobo rumble that has been the Patriots offensive line for the better part of the last half decade. But everything about this guy, just, he screams refuse to lose. He just is all about, literally, pardon the pun, but like, it's like he's a will where there's a will, there's a way, there's a will to win type of guy. And reading this piece, to when all the good things he did, like when his position coach didn't compliment him during a game when they were playing Alabama or Florida, right?
They scored 52 points.
Yeah. And he, like you said, he absolutely just annihilated every defender. Someone said, like, he just tried to kill everyone out there. Then he went up to that position coach after the game and said, "Is that good enough for you?" And told him he would never withhold love from him again. Like, couldn't help it. And it was so hard for him not to tell him how much he loved him during the, I'm telling you, he won. If I've been saying, if he sound bites, if he plays half as good as he sound bites, if his on-field effort is half what his character seems to be about, not only do they have their left tackle of the future, but now I'm starting to really see through this matrix of like leadership and character and what Mike Vrabel wants in the locker room, on the team and on the sidelines, people that just effing love football and love the camaraderie, love the fraternity, love the brotherhood, and want to get out there and be awesome together. That, to me, just as much as being able to, deal with a speed rusher, a swim move, or whatever, seems just as important.
Yeah, the off-field part is so important, not because I'm sitting here trying to justify the number 4 overall pick, because hand up, I was an Armand Membu guy. We invented Membu Corner at the event you and I did it by the
That's right.
Before the draft, and I'll get to that in a second. But the off-field part is, this kid was a captain at 19 at LSU. Like, you're talking NFL minor leagues, right? And committed the whole room in the facility. That the O-line coach I mentioned, Brad Davis, told me over the phone, I don't want to let him down. Like, Brad was afraid to hold him out even of one practice that year when he was a captain as a sophomore, and said, I just didn't tell him until the last second, so he had no option to react. And Will was pissed. He was like, I want to practice every single time that I can. But their sports science said, hey, you're running low on gas. We're going to hold you out. So if you're Mike Vrabel, what Will Campbell is not only, again, filling a positional need, which is really important. He is the rock upon which you are going to rebuild this culture. And I get that there are a lot of guys already here that could do that. Drake May, Christian Gonzalez, you go down the list. But when you make your first pick in your first year as head coach, this says everything about what you want and who you want to become. Now, whether or not he can do that at left tackle, the arm length is real. Like that's going to factor in. But what this also said is the Patriots see him as the guy with the shortest wingspan of any offensive tackle at the combine since 2011. If he's going to be an exception to the NFL prototypes and height and weight and speed, you're a little bit too slow. You need to be exceptional in 2 areas. One, in your athleticism, which he is, and number 2, with your competitive character. So this was diving more into the latter, because we have all the testing numbers. We know his 40, yada, yada. The competitive character piece absolutely is exceptional. Now it's just a matter of, are his feet and his hands quick enough to overcome that lack of length?
Yeah, and he strikes me as somebody who's willing to do that extra something. He is like the physical, shaggy haired,
it's beautiful salad fits. I'm so jealous.
Great. He's got great
pictures of the kid.
Got amazing lettuce. He is going to be the Cajun spice. Well, top perfect salad, crazy words, sling blade talking definition of whatever it takes. And that's what Mike Vrabel wants on this team. And I can see, reading this, how much all this means to him. You spent some time talking about the cousin that he lost, and that he has set up, run pickleball tournaments and fundraisers, and keeps, the memory of this, the 16-year-old Braddock Tarver, I believe his name was.
Tarver Braddock.
Braddock, excuse me. Keeps his memory alive, and how much he meant to him, and how Will understands, because he's had significant loss in his life, that, all of this is fleeting. And so you have to make every moment count. So he's kind of almost like, you can see, like, he's like the kind of guy, he's not going to take a play off. He's not going to take a game off because of how much all this stuff means to him. I've gone from, I'll admit, you were a Membu guy. I was draft Genty and then get maybe Ursery, trade back in. That was my plan. But I love everything about the way the Patriots have gone about this. I love everything Vrabel's doing. It's I'm trying to look for where's the flaw? Like before we talk about rookie minicamp, where's the flaw in the design? What's the misstep? Like, is sure there could be the wingspan issue. Yeah, maybe he will be a guard in 2 or 3 years. I don't know. In which case he's going to be the biggest Cajun talking Logan Mankins MFer around town. What's the flaw in the design, or what should be worried about?
I don't know how much there is about worry. Like, this was a kid, even people like me who were like, that's a concern. I really like Membo. It's not that I dislike Will Campbell. I just don't have that question about the position change. But to your point, if he does slide into guard, this could be an all-pro kid in terms of the athleticism, the nastiness. He's really well balanced in terms of his run blocking and pass protection, but it has to be the wingspan, right? Again, this is going to be historic outlier. And the way you compensate for that, like I made the very like loose, lazy comparison of, okay, think about Drew Brees, right? Like that was a quarterback in 2002 who was among the shortest ever to play the position. Oh, how can you overcompensate or just compensate for the height? Well, he was exceptionally accurate, smart, a fast processor, okay, and just won in all those ways. Will Campbell needs to be elite with his footwork and his hand placement and his strike and his ability to recover. The Patriots are betting that he will be, but again, that's still a bet. They might be wrong. At least the plan B is we'll just kick you inside and have to find someone else to tackle, which is not easy. You can't sign these guys. You have to trade for them or draft them. But right now they feel good about it. And look, I'm a little bit more of a Will Campbell believer than I was before. He's an exceptional kid.
I'm with you all the way. And yeah, if they have to make a change, so be it. But at least they got a guy who wants to play football and wants to go about the business of football the way that Mike Vrabel wants to do business. And I think we're all falling in love. We're all falling in love with the way that Mike Vrabel wants to do that. So it's awesome. Now about the way that the Patriots went over through that plan. Sorry about my camera being a pain in the ass, everybody. So about with the way that they did this, they chose to go with Campbell first, then grab some receivers and running backs later. I'm the biggest card carrying member in New England of the Travion Henderson Appreciation Society. I'm now referring to Kyle Williams as the timeline king, because every day that I open up Twitter, it's somebody else showing me another video of why this kid is such a good person, how explosive he is out of his breaks and whatever. So you had a chance to go down to rookie minicamp. Just give me some late post-draft thoughts, some post-draft thoughts on the way that they went about building the roster, the players they selected, and what you saw in Foxborough this weekend, who looked good, or what some early expectations you have for this new draft class.
Yeah, it's tough to say because nothing's really changed for me. And I think you understand when you understand the setting. Like, they were all in the bubble for just over an hour. No pads. There was one competitive period. It wasn't even 7-on-7s. It wasn't 11-on-11s. It was basically 5-on-5, okay, for the offense against the defense. And you have a guy down the street from Brown who's your backup quarterback. And then the starting quarterback is a kid from Louisiana, Ben Wooldridge, who completed 62% of his passes. So even if I'm charting all the reps and the completion percentages and the wins on defense and yada, yada, the context says none of this is matter because most of these guys are not going to play long-term in the NFL. That said, you pick up some small stuff like Marcus Bryant, their seventh right tackle in Missouri, played left tackle there, flipped over to right where he had been at SMU. So you're like, okay, maybe they're trying to see if he can be a swing tackle, a little bit of depth there. Like the way Kyle Williams moved, again, in shorts in these one-on-one drills, you see the burst, you see the long speed. That's what I wanted to see. If I didn't see it, it would be, oh, this isn't so great. But there's nothing that's really changed for me. Travion Henderson was not there Friday, so the media was not in attendance Saturday. I can't tell you anything about him. But I think the fact that they're all here, they're building. You talk about that camaraderie. The May is the time of season for that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Hope, camaraderie, and then the schedule gets drip, 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 like my current sink in my bathroom is right now. And that's it. And then we move on. But they're here, they're working, and I'm excited more to see them in July. But so far, as much as you can say, so good.
Was Kyle Williams somebody you had on your? I know we had a chance to talk about it at length at the draft party, benefiting Doug Kyde and his LLS initiative. But was Kyle Williams somebody you had on your radar as okay? Because I was in on Jalen Knoll, and obviously the Iowa State Cyclones have now become the new Houston Texans because they double dipped. Tank Dell's going to be out for a while. They traded for Christian Kirk. Now all of a sudden they have Jaden Higgins, Christian Kirk, Nico Collins, and Jalen Knoll. CJ Stroud should have a blast this year with those targets. When Brian Hoyer described Jalen Knoll as a tougher, faster version of Amon-Ra St. Brown, that was
he said that?
Wow. Yeah, he's like a more explosive, like, and Amon-Ra St. Brown
He's an
is a
all-pro.
BAMF. That stands for badass mofo. Yeah,
Wow.
I was like, chips in, thank you. I'll be good with that. But Kyle Williams, like, I saw the clips of him talking about you have to go out and earn it every day. Nothing's given. Yeah, this is a gift. Like, I was like, okay, humility, awesome, check. Will to win, check. Want to improve, check. Oh, and people say he's the best natural separator in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
How bad that combination of like a left tackle who's willing to die on the field, protect the quarterback, and make everyone around there sacrifice themselves for the greater good of Vrabel and Patriots football. Haven't had that in a while. Haven't had somebody with Henderson's long speed, and haven't had a separator like Williams.
Yeah, and just how about backup options in the offensive line? Like any position basically except left tackle, there's a viable backup that you go, oh, that wouldn't be the end of the world, which is what you've been living and watching. It's the end of the world up front with the worst front blocking offensive line last year and the second worst pass protecting offensive line. But looking ahead, I love Kyle Williams, and it was as much because of the 4.4 speed, but that you could see it on tape. And his success rate against man coverage was over 75%. You'd be like, oh, he played at Washington State, blah, blah, blah. Wouldn't you get extra attention if you're the only good receiver on your team, regardless of the defense that you're facing? Because if you're the Patriots and you look at that success rate against man coverage and that long speed, like, can you name me a receiver that's had both of those abilities in the last 5, 6, 7 years? Like Tyquan Thornton, we know, had the 4.2 speed. Couldn't separate from man.
Baylor receivers just don't work in the NFL. Like the Corey Colemans and the Tyquan Thorntons, it just doesn't translate for Denzel Mims, who just got cut from a UFL team as well. Like it just doesn't translate. Tyquan Thornton would be a better teacher at the Arthur Murray Dance School than he would be an NFL route runner. 12 steps for every 2, just like I use 25 words for every 4. Like not good, but like Kyle Williams looks efficient. Like he looks quick. He looks like he's going to be a pain in the ass to cover. Yeah. And then you think like a guy like Steph Diggs, who's just exactly like, could there be a better mentor protege, master and apprentice type of hookup between Steph Diggs and Kyle Williams? That looks like a match made in route running heaven.
So, and the part about Kyle Williams that I really like is the release package off the line, because a lot of the receivers face a transition going from college to the NFL where there's not a ton of press. And then you get to the NFL and it's like, what are you doing putting both hands on me as hard as you can? It's the ball snap. I don't know what to do about this. Kyle Williams can get off that. He's really good at the top of the routes. He can drift a little bit in the middle, and there's going to be some development there. But this is a guy who also transferred from UNLV to Washington State, meaning he picked up an entirely new offense. And he's spoken already about, hey, the fact that I transferred, changed offenses, learned a new playbook, this is going to be the biggest, most complicated one that I've studied yet. But I'm ready for it. Like, I'm ready to get into that process. I know what it feels like. I know what it looks like. So his profile is not only a receiver that the Patriots have needed for 10 years, but I think can make a week 1 impact. And the last thing I'll say is this, like, because you called me out Friday night, day 2 of the draft, and I was like, running back at 38, don't love that.
Oh, and that I quote tweeted you, and I was like, why are you allergic to fun?
Yeah. And if you had told me, though, that they would get Kyle Williams and Jared Wilson, who more than looks the part, and also
could be the sneaky steal of the draft for the Patriots, by the way.
I would have signed up for that in a heartbeat. And not just because Jared Wilson, you talk about quotes, is already calling his offensive coordinator, oh, he's short, but he's loud, Josh McDaniels. He's got the athletic profile, the pedigree at Georgia, where he's just going up against the best defensive lineman in football in practice every single day. Great defensive lineman in the SEC. Like, that guy might not start this year. That's fine. He
might push Bradbury, though. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. Josh said every job is wide open. Yes. Henderson's going to have a chance to start, and everyone that's listening here in the Travion Henderson Appreciation Society knows doesn't put the ball on the carpet. 7 yards a carry, touchdowns galore, soft hands, best pass protection in 25 years. Another one of the reasons I think McDaniels probably pushed Vrabel and company and Wolf to take an extra long look at this kid. He does it all and then some. They're faster this way, Callahan. They're faster that way. They're stronger. They're stronger in here. They're stronger down there. I love all the moves. But again, here we are, several months from meaningful football.
And history says, like probably only 2, maybe 3 of these guys will pan out, right? To some level of contributor, borderline starter.
That's the 2021 Lions draft. 3 of them panned out, and that was the cornerstone of their rebuild.
Exactly. If you pick all of these positions, let's throw Jared Wilson in there, even as a center, the less sexy, all due respect position compared to receiver, running back, and left tackle. You get a new starting center for the next 5, 6, maybe 10 years, plus a running back or left tackle or a receiver. Who in New England's not happy? Like, even 2 out of the 4 of those guys doing what you expect of them now as we all hail this.
All of New England, because it's New England.
It's a huge hit. Like, they did really, really well.
Yeah, and maybe the defensive tackle from Florida State could be a nice little rotational value play. Like,
Yeah.
again, games aren't played on paper, but it looks pretty good. You got to go to a Milton Williams and a Kendrick Bournevale. Schedule release is tomorrow night, Wednesday night, May the 14th as well, running in concurrence with Game 5, which could be awesome, fulfilling, tragic, who knows, for the Celtics. Just give me your do you think there'll be any primetime games, and like either a game you're super looking forward to or a game or like maybe one that you're hoping will be the opener? Because I've been on board. Some like Mego said here on the podcast last week, don't burn the Titans game week 1 because you want to have that one to look forward to. But at the same time, couldn't you see the schedule? People just being like, that's a like we want to get people back on board the Patriots train. That's a fun one. That's a tasty one to sell for week 1.
I don't care about the Titans. I think the Titans are terribly boring, so you can put that wherever you want. I don't want that for the opener or whenever it is. You know what I want, Fitzy, is I want one of their tougher opponents that you get in September, right? Like before everything settles in, you know who's good, you know who's not. It's not the extension of the preseason anymore. Baltimore, Pittsburgh, like bring them in. Tampa Bay, they got to make that trip. Do it early because that's when you tend to get them, just like the Patriots did with Cincinnati last year. And they were probably in the last 5-10 years the worst week 1 team in the NFL. But if you're going to exceed expectations, you have to do that right away. This is not a team that's going to win 7 straight down the stretch. But if you start 4-2 and you upset some of those teams, you might not in November and December. Go ahead, and I'll even throw Buffalo in there. How about that? Like if you're going to unsettle the Bills, do it right away. Get them early. That's what I want to see from the schedule.
The way that they started to push the Bills around but didn't finish by punching them in the mouth back in December of 2024 in the Mayo era. Maybe opening in Buffalo would be a wild choice by the NFL. But if they saw like, okay, Josh now with Drake, Josh Allen 2.0, let's go up to Orchard Park and like, let's start a street fight week 1. Ooh, that's good. Now you sold me on that one. All right.
And you know what? I bet they get a Sunday night and a Monday night. I do think they get primetime games. I don't think it'll be a ton, but I think there's enough there. You got the quarterback, you got the coach. Like people are ready to see the Patriots.
And there's positive buzz after everyone they spent the most and they got the most positive A grades, highest GPA from the 2025 NFL draft. Great chat as always. Follow my guy @ Andrew Callahan. Read him in the Boston Herald. And of course, his profile piece on Will Campbell is a very spicy Cajun chef's kiss of football literature. Thank you very much for joining me, Andrew. And of course, you can hear him on the Pat's Interference podcast as well through CLNS Media. That'll do for the latest 6 Rings of Football things. This guy's going to go talk to some Patriots players. I got to get ready for an afternoon show. Anything else you want to add before kicking rocks, Callahan?
No, we're good. I miss you, pal. Wish we could have you on the podcast, but this is
I know.
It's been great to hang out with you for a half hour.
Always great to I gotta buy this guy a lot of beers as well. And we got to get some plans off air for that too. You guys take care. Thanks for listening and watching as always. Make sure you subscribe, Spotify, Apple Pods, and on the Odyssey app. We'll be back more in probably a day or so with a scheduled release, reaction podcast, and more. Till then, good day, God bless,